Hey, we're going to talk about making a factor tree, which is, you'll hear this, it'll say express as a product of prime numbers. Prime numbers, of course, are numbers that are divisible by 1 in itself. These two are obviously not prime numbers. Number 20, or not number 20, but the number 20 is even. So 2 will naturally go into it. Same with 48. And then I'll show an example of reducing a fraction and much more. If you're going to make a factor tree, or if the direction says express as a product of prime numbers, we're just going to break this down into basic times tables. So 20, you could make it 2 times 10, or I'm going to call it 4 times 5. Now 4 times 5 is 20. So each line of this pyramid we're going to make here is going to have to multiply together sideways to equal 20. And then you just reassess what you have. 4 is not prime, but 5 is. So 4 will break down into 2 times 2. 5 is prime, so any prime numbers you have, just bring it straight down. Put dots between each ones because they mean multiply. And then see if they're all prime. And you keep doing this process until they're all prime. So 2 is, and 5 is. This is your final answer. 2 times 2 times 5 is 20. This is a product of prime numbers. Product means multiplying. Numbers multiplied together, the answer. A lot of people will choose to express this as 2 squared times 5, and I do not have a problem with that. Let's look at the next one. Let's look at 48. 48, you could do 2 times 24, or you could do 4 times 12. So many things. I'm going to do 6 times 8. I like to go right in the middle whenever I can, thinking regular times tables when possible. 6 is not prime. That is 2 times 3. 8 breaks down into 2 times 4. And again, order doesn't really matter. In fact, I'll do this one a different way here in a minute. 2 is prime. 3 is prime. 2 is prime. 4 is not prime. So we bring this down. We bring this down. Do not leave them hanging up there. That's the number one mistake people make. Don't leave prime numbers just hanging up there. 4 breaks down into 2 times 2. So these are now all prime. This would be okay to express your answer this way, or you could say 2 to the 4th power times 3. Now let me do 48 a different way here. If we chose to go on 48 and do it 2 times 24, and then bring the 2 down and split this up into 2 times 12. Some people choose to do it this way. I personally don't like it because it takes additional steps, but whatever. This is 2 times 6, and I want to just show you that eventually I'm going to get the same answer and actually model how you properly do this. 6 is now 2 times 3. When you do it this way, it does keep it in order a little bit better. You'll notice here that there are 4 2's and a 3, and here there are 4 2's and a 3, so this could also be expressed 2 to the 4th times 3. Next thing is reducing a fraction. Just reducing a fraction. You can reduce every single fraction one way, and that is to just take the biggest number and divide it into each one that goes into it. The biggest factor that goes into 36 and 48 would be 12. So let's just say you were doing this problem, and you divided this by 12 and this by 12, and showing that step right there is completely optional. You do not have to do that. This would become 3 over 4. But let's say you didn't see that it was 12, and you started off this problem, 36 over 48, and you said, well, they're both even, so I know 2 goes into each of them, so I'll divide them by 2. All right, this would be 18 over 24. And then you say, okay, those are still even, so I'll divide them by 2 again. And that's okay. So this would be 9 over 12. And then you say 3 goes into each of these, so I'll divide them by 3. Okay, so this would be 3 over 4. Eventually, you know, whether you choose to whittle it down like this, there's no penalty for it, except for it takes more time. It's always better to try to get the biggest number possible. The greatest common factor is called the GCF. Sometimes you'll see it written that way. And that way you get it done in one shot. But that's reducing a fraction. Now, my final concept on this video is something I wanted to put on the other one, but I forgot. So it's back to this zero and undefined business. if 0 is leading off when division is written this way, you have to understand that 0 divided by 7 looks like this as a fraction. That is 0. And if you don't know why, go back to the other video and watch it. This one would be written 7 over 0. So that equals undefined. And again, if you're like, what? Watch the other video. 16 divided by 8, we know that that's 2, but it's also can be written like this. 8 gone wild there. That equals 2. Or if it's written with the bar, the 16 would go here, and the 8 would go here, and the 2 would go here. So this is the forms of division. And a lot of people get these backwards and mixed up, and that's bad. So on the next one, we'll talk about how to multiply and divide fractions. Have a good day.